Backspin with your wedges, how do you create it? We all want to hit that shot when you're close to the green where we hit it one hop and then stop, or even get that golf ball spinning back. So how do we create it? Well, we're going to talk about the science of how you actually create spin, and then we're going to show you how to actually do it. And the three main things we're going to be talking about: equipment, technique, and then on-course conditions. It's almost impossible to do if you don't do this.
So the good news is you can somewhat buy backspin with great technology. So if we think about the club, first of all, we need a premium wedge, a blade forged wedge. That's going to help you get a lot of friction of the golf ball sticking to the face, which is going to give you more backspin. Now look, you need to understand when you're hitting shots with this club as well, those grooves, they better be clean. And if we think about the best golfers in the world, when they're getting loads of backspin, they're probably changing their wedges every month. So the fresher those grooves are, the more backspin you're going to be able to get. And then we look at the golf ball. So I use a TaylorMade TP5X. Now this is one of the softer golf balls. Andy, I think, uses a TP5, which is even softer. But that soft golf ball, again, is going to help you get that friction, that grip on the face, which is going to help increase that potential for that backspin. So if you're using a rock hard golf ball with a big cavity wedge with loads of mud in those grooves, you are not going to get any backspin whatsoever. So let's get into the science and the technique of backspin.
Okay, so there are three things that we need in order to create spin when it comes to technique. We need a good spin loft, we need a good strike location, and we need club head speed. Now, we used to think in order to create spin, we need to hit down on the golf ball, because hitting down creates spin. That is not the case. What we need is a good spin loft. But what is spin loft? This is the key. Spin loft is the difference between the angle of attack, the club head is traveling to the golf ball, and the loft presented to the ball, the dynamic loft. Let's give an example. If the club head is traveling 5 degrees down and you're presenting 60 degrees of loft when you hit the golf ball, the difference between those two is 65 degrees. That's a 65 spin loft. Now, here's the important thing for this. In order to create the maximum amount of spin, you want your spin loft at around 55 degrees. If it gets above 60, it's actually going to lose spin. So sometimes people have said that you need to create lots of loft when it comes to spin. You can actually have too much loft. If you've got too much loft, you can lose spin, and obviously not enough, you're going to lose spin. So if we can get you in the 55 range here, this is what's going to give you maximum spin. The next thing that's really important is strike location. You want to be striking the golf ball between groove number 2 and groove number 5. This means that it's actually slightly lower on the face. Slightly lower on the face is where you're going to get the maximum spin. If you start to get a little bit too high, it's going to increase the launch and decrease the spin. So really important, when we play this shot in a moment, we're going to show you how to get it low off the face between groove 2 and number 5. And then the final thing is speed. The more speed that we have, the more spin that we're going to have. Now we're here on the 17th, here at the Grand, we've got 50 yards. Now I do not expect this golf ball to spin backwards towards me, because it's not far enough. The speed's going to be a little bit less. But I do, hopefully, want to get the golf ball to grab and stop really quickly, which means I can fly almost to the flag, one hop, and then grab and stop really quickly. That's stopping power that really is important when we play these wedges. So let's show you how to do this now in the technique. So first of all, let's talk about the spin loft. How do we create a 55-degree spin loft? Well, firstly, I've got my 58 degrees here. Now, if I'm hitting down on the golf ball 5 degrees, let's say, with this 58 degree, and I present 58 degrees, that's giving me a 63 spin loft. So what I actually need to do in order to play the shot with a good spin loft, I need to lean the shaft forward 8 degrees. If I can lean it forward 8 degrees when I strike the golf ball, that's going to get me in this magic window. So let's show you how we're going to do that. First thing I'm going to do, fairly narrow stance here when it comes to this yardage. The ball is going to be slightly ahead of the center. I'm going to lean a little bit of the weight into the lead leg and already create a little bit of this shaft lean at setup here. And when it comes to the motion, really important, the arms and the body are staying very connected. I'm going to have a little bit of wrist set when it comes to this distance, but my focus here is to not hit down. I'm going to go for a little bit of a brushing of the ground. And here's the important thing. I want to make sure that my body continues to move through the ball. So when I've hit the shot, everything is facing the target here. The club is roughly towards the midline of my body, but I'm fully facing the target. The moment I stop my body, what's going to happen is I'm going to release the club early. I'm going to have the shaft leaning back. Too much loft, and too much loft, remember, is not enough spin. So if we put all those things together, that's going to help us create that maximum spin. Okay, so let's have a little go at that then. So see if I can create that spin. So brush the ground, hold the finish. we should get that little bit of a check where it just grabs, hopefully next to that hole.
Look at that.
And
That was good, wasn't it?
Hardly any turf there. You can see one hop, then grabbed, hardly any turf, a little bit of a brush of the ground there. That is the key thing. We do not want any of these big divots here, but now you know exactly how to create spin. Okay, let's understand how the course conditions affect the spin on the golf ball. Let's talk about the lie first of all. In order to create the spin, we already know that we want to hit it off the low part of the face between groove 2 and 5. The tighter the lie, the easier that is. If there's hardly any grass and it's pretty tight, let's say a links golf course, it's much easier to get that ball striking low on the face. If the ball's sitting up, there's much higher chance of actually hitting it more towards the middle of the face, which we already know there it's going to pop up with not as much spin. So bear that in mind when you're playing the shot. Understand how the lie is going to influence the spin. Now when it comes to the rough, if you've got grass between the ball and the club face, what that does is basically reduce the friction. Because the grass interferes with the connection of the ball and the face, it actually stops the ball grabbing. So you might still play a decent shot, but expect the ball to land and roll more because it hasn't got that spin. And also another key component is the condition of the greens. How soft or firm are the greens? Here at the Grand, actually, they're nice and soft. You can see when the ball hits the green, even from 50 yards, it leaves a pitch mark. If the greens are relatively soft, you're going to be able to hit the green, get that grab and start to work that ball back a little bit. If the greens are firm, that bounce, that initial bounce is going to hop forward and you might struggle to get that spin. So bear that in mind when you go to the golf course, because that's going to influence where you actually land the ball. And the other thing to bear in mind when you're on the golf course is the moisture. We get some rain on the golf course, unfortunately, and sometimes when we get the moisture on the club face, it just kills the spin there. So make sure you've got a clean, dry face, because the drier the face is, the higher the spin's going to be. So as you can see, there's lots of different things that influence spin, but now you know exactly what causes it and also how to do it. Okay guys, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed that. Now look, if you enjoyed coaching from myself and Pierce, then make sure you check out our online academy at meandmygolf.com or simply download the Meandmygolf app. This is where we've got all our best plans and programs to help you play the best golf of your life. Thanks for watching and we'll see you soon.